Everybody, welcome to the Absolutely Adequate podcast brought to you by God. And today we're going to be continuing our journey through He Who Fights with Monsters. If you're watching this and I recorded it, this is all backwards and it all looks like gibberish to you. But right now we're going to delve into it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to welcome my good friend Scout and my good friend Tim to the podcast. Tim, Scout, welcome to the podcast. So glad to have you guys.
It's always
And
good to be here.
Yes, yes, yes. Tim with his beard, it's his superpower. So, yes.
The source of my power.
So, I guess what I'll do is I'll just turn it over to you, Scout, and you can take us away.
All right. So, in the last podcast, we'd made it to chapter 14 of the book, and we have read to chapter 43. I think we read 42, and we stopped at 43, correct? So,
Right.
we are now deep into the beginnings of the book. A lot has happened, so let's dive right into it, I guess.
Oh, just really quickly, sorry. It might be good for us to put a spoiler warning up at this point. If you have not read the book and you're interested in the book and you watch the last podcast, you'll really get spoiled if you kind of listen.
That is true. I mean,
Yes.
the first podcast, there's not really a whole lot of spoilers to, but this one, for sure, will have a lot of spoilers.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
All right, so obviously, when we left him in chapter 14, he was lost and afraid. I ain't gonna say that, but he has a whole bunch of stones that he needs to use. So I don't know where we want to start with this. Do we want do we want to talk about like
Yeah.
what about his powers? What does everybody think about his powers?
I think his powers are pretty interesting. He seems like a stealth build to me.
Mhm.
That's what I'm getting from him. The problem is, I like the guy. He's a very likable guy, but he seems kind of dumb. Like not
Right.
kind of dumb, but really dumb. And I don't know that he knows how to coordinate all the powers he's got. Obviously, he has like some of his sin powers. He has like certain like little blood powers and stuff like that that he can sap health and poison. Or I don't know if it's really poison. Am I approaching that wrong? But
Poisons,
He
diseases.
has some poisons and diseases. I have, like I said, I got a list of all of his powers here in front of me, but
So I don't think he would have been able to figure this out on his own, but there is a moment where it says the party talked to him about strategy and ways to basically proc his abilities so that they all work off of each other. So with their help, he has figured it out, it seems.
okay. Yeah, you guys approach it from more of like you're recording his stats and keeping up with what he's doing. I actually think I'm him. So, like, I'm kind of dumb. I'm really invested in the story for me. And like the powers are neat and he's gotten some really good ones, but I don't think he knows how to use them at
uh,
all yet.
and he doesn't. And you said that he's got some really good ones, but if you've heard like Rufus talk about powers and powers in this world, Rufus doesn't believe there's a such thing as a bad, um, like essence. Not of the ones that aren't in the restricted or
Mhm.
the illegal. I don't remember what they call them, but the ones that you can't get.
Right,
Um,
they're restricted.
they're restricted.
Make you
So
like a vampire and
right,
stuff like
or
that.
yeah, or raise the
Right.
dead. So
That is interesting. Um, I guess that's like you're saying. Rufus's perspective on it is that whatever powers you have don't alter who you are or determine your morality. But the reason why he said that is because the church believes differently.
no, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Hard
And it
truth.
is now I'm kind of confused on this. Is there one church or are there multiple churches to different gods?
Multiple.
Okay.
Multiples.
Okay. So that didn't really come across as much. I thought maybe it was like different branches of the one church, like the Roman
Mhm.
Catholic Church or something like that. But then like it seems like there's more like denominations, different styles of churches worshiping different gods.
Right.
They seem to like sometimes it seems like they kind of refer to it as a collective, but there's definitely a church dedicated to each god.
Yeah, kind of like Skyrim.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, that's a
Okay,
good.
okay,
Good.
that's a good. Yeah. So if it's okay, I wanted to talk about a couple things. With it. I know we're talking about the powers right now, but his progression feels to me. Have you ever watched? I know some of y'all watch like anime, but I don't know if anybody out there watching us
Yeah.
watches anime.
Yeah.
But the progression feels anime-ish to me. Like he gets
Right.
little power ups here, and then he learns how to use it, and then he faces a new obstacle, and he gets another power up that helps him with that kind of thing. And then even like down to the story structure, like it feels like collective chapters, almost like you would watch an arc in an anime. Then that arc has characters who get introduced, you go through, you get to know them, and then you move along, and those people are left behind, and you meet new characters, like small
Mm.
characters.
Yeah. I know you're not talking about Naruto.
I actually am thinking of Naruto.
Well, he uses the same power for the whole, like the entire thing.
He has
Well,
65 versions of the Rasengan.
mhm.
So,
Yeah,
Oh well, I forgot about that one. I did forget. I was
right.
thinking
Shadow
Shadow
Clone's the
Clone
main one.
Jutsu. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, he has the Nine Tails Club too. So.
And he gets like three different powers, just iterates on it.
Yeah. But I was thinking more of like how Naruto. Let's think about Naruto for a second, like when you compare it to this book. So the very first arc, you have the Land of Waves. They go there, they meet the bridge builder, they meet all these people. The very first, what I would call arc for him, he goes to the little village that they first go to, meets the guy that takes him up to the waterfall area and all that, and then they have their own little story. He saves the village, and then that ends. That guy's just gone after that,
Hmm.
and they like says goodbye to the village. They all know him. It feels very anime-ish, like he got to know
Okay.
everybody. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's extremely friendly, but even the party comments on it, so
No,
it's not
no.
like the author is treating that as like just a normal
Yeah.
characteristic of the
Yeah.
world.
He.
Not everyone's as friendly as him.
Well, and like Rufus and Farah and Gary, they all discuss about how he's like he'd probably be considered weird no matter what world he's from. Like.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's an oddball.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was even like when they got to the main city, he was showing them around, and they'd been living there
Oh
just
yeah,
because he
yeah,
had spent time and
Oh yeah.
talked to everyone.
yeah. He definitely he's a people person. He's a very
Hmm.
extroverted human being, and that can kind of get him in troubles. And when you mentioned that, going back to the powers, I thought it was pretty neat that he was actually like curing cancer at one
Right.
Right.
point. Like like his powers are getting just on a like what you can do with basic
Hmm.
stuff. He's really powerful, like already. So,
Yeah, and this is his sin ability, the Feast of Absolution. So, and it's
mhm.
interesting how this is a holy ability called sin, but it has to do with like, I guess, purging the unclean. I guess is how it's related to holiness. But the fact that he's able to use that to make himself stronger, but he's using it for the good of everyone he meets, every town he goes to, just healing people for free. That's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't one of his sin abilities say it was holy slash sin, like something like that.
This oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of that, but
Mhm.
the sin itself is a holy ability. But I think
Huh.
one of
Hegemony maybe.
yeah,
That kind of raises questions
that's
like
his
what?
aura.
Oh, sorry.
I believe that was his aura
Yes,
ability.
Yes.
it's his
Holy,
aura ability.
unholy. Hegemony sin. It gives his allies increased.
Yeah, the
Um,
aura thing kind of cracked me up because Farah, I think is her name.
Yeah.
She's like, now I'm gonna suppress your aura. Now just hang in there. And he's like, it doesn't bother me at all.
yeah, this is how I feel every day. Very
Yeah,
relatable.
yeah, yeah. I guess he's just used to all of that, and
Mm.
it doesn't even phase him anymore. And so, but but yeah, I was reading. Sorry, I know I'm kind of dominating the conversation.
No, you're
I
good.
apologize for that. I was just getting really excited about this. So like I was watching some of his abilities. Like he gets the shadow ability kind of figured out, after a little while, but he's not really good with it yet. And it never really explains. I don't know what is it. Is he like feeling the shadows call him, or is
He
that what he had to do?
what he feels is so he uses his aura to like penetrate the shadows, and he realizes that the shadows are all connected. So
Right.
the
He's
shadows
saying that he,
the shadows themselves are calling to his power, not to him.
Okay.
yeah, he has to. What one reason why he struggled so much with it is he had to understand what shadow was differently from how he knew it from his reality, and he realized that shadow here is not an absence of light; that it was actually something tangible.
Mhm.
And with that understanding, that helped him use this
So it's
ability.
like a realm he can travel through.
Seems like it, something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Okay. I think his powers are pretty neat.
Yeah, I
I
Yeah,
mean,
think
he's
he's
a affliction base,
yeah,
damage over time.
1,000 bug bites kind of thing.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But
What,
he also gained his familiar right after, shortly after chapter 14, which was the apocalypse monster.
Oh
That
yeah,
was very,
the sanguine horror.
yeah,
yeah. What does he
very
name it?
dark. Was it
He names
Jerry?
it something. Is it
It's
Jerry?
Colin. He
Oh,
names
Colin,
it
that's
okay.
what it
Colin.
is. Yeah, the death worm, he names it
Yeah, because
Colin.
that's what Gary's like. Gary's like, you should. Why didn't you name it something like? Yeah, I don't remember what Gary said, but it's like something scary. And he goes, "He's an apocalypse monster. He's scary. He's intimidating enough."
Mhm.
He's got his own problems. He
Yeah.
doesn't need any more. So,
Yeah, but he's already on bad terms with the church,
mhm.
simply for the fact that he was healing people for free, which is interesting, an interesting dynamic. Not too surprising that organizations with healing being somewhat rare, that they would have an organization around the finances of that and limiting that. So him doing it for free was stepping on their turf. But if they ever find out about his apocalypse familiar, they will probably not like that very much.
But his stance with them, right? That he got beat up because not because of his powers though. He got beat up just because he was with the alchemist. So it's not only just like him that this church doesn't like. They dislike anybody who's trying to do things cheap for the cheap, like for the lower class people. They only work with the high class people. Anytime, like if you don't have enough money, you can't be healed. But you like the alchemist
Mm.
guy is trying to heal them, like trying to help them out, trying to make cheap medicine, and the church doesn't like it.
Yeah, it seems much more like a business than it does an actual like what we would think of as a church. And that's kind of something that like I've noticed about the world is like the way they talk about gods and stuff. There's not so much. This is funny because this was my major. There's not so much delving into theology as like we would think of theology. Like,
Mhm.
in modern terms, in theology, you try to demonstrate the existence of God. You try to argue what God's attributes are and everything. But they already know their gods. Like, they
Mhm.
physically know their gods. So their relationship to their gods are different. And it kind of makes me wonder. I don't know how the hierarchy of the gods works out in this thing, but like even if you go to Elder Scrolls, where you have multiple gods like that, there are spiritual beings that are above
Mhm.
those even until you get all the way to basically like the creator, the original one. And then these are just lower tier gods. Kind of I'm just curious if there are like truly transcendent beings in the verse and that their existence are being like hidden or disguised by these gods. Like that's what kind of has struck me as interesting because they seem to be manipulating people and using them for their own ends.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm drawing too
I,
much.
I, my,
Yeah, it is
I,
interesting in any. Go ahead, Scott.
I think your uh, study of theology has given you some insight that I didn't even look into when I was, reading the book even the first time. Like some of what you said is ridiculously accurate, and
Oh, really?
yeah.
Okay. Gosh.
It
So
makes sense.
it's
But
it's an
in
interesting
it
concept. Yeah.
in any fantasy world where the gods are real and present, then it's a very different reality. They're no one doesn't believe in them or that they exist. They're just a force, and their organizations are basically government powers, more powerful than our religious government powers because they can actually do things that normal people can't.
Mhm. It's kind of like I hate to use like God of War as a reference here, but have y'all played God of War, the
uh,
old ones,
Not the old ones.
not the old
One of them.
ones? Oh, you played one of them. So, like in God of War, the gods are basically they're not this. They're not these things, but this is what they are in thematic terms. Is they are amplified humans. They're humans with greater power and reach and ability, but they're not what we think of as a actual capital G God. And so what
Mhm.
happens is a lot of times they're using their worshipers and moving them around for their purposes. And so they personify certain aspects of the world and they're trying to expand their sphere of influence. And so I don't know, it's kind of interesting to me the way the church is doing things in here. You would think that if they wanted their domain expanded, they would be healing more. Or if, and this is my other thought, the God of healing, whatever it is, the church thing, if demand for that God, greater suffering, more stuff like that increases his abilities because there's more demand for him, if that makes sense.
That's interesting.
I don't know.
That
I
would make
don't,
sense.
if I'm off base, correct me, but I find that part of it interesting.
Yeah,
So
there is a more charitable interpretation that another character suggests that the god of healing grants them the power and then allows them to choose how to use it. He doesn't tell them how to do it. So
right,
then
which
they
is
decided to turn it into a business.
that's what he, yeah, the part you're talking about is when they're talking about like provincial groups, like the churches in the smaller vicinities. They have more ability to go power hungry because they're not controlled as tightly as like a group in a bigger city. Because the characters Jason's with, Farah, Gary, and Rufus, they are from Vitesse more or less, but in Vitesse, which is a massive city, the churches don't have as much like singular power as they do in like this smaller town.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That,
I do
that
remember that part now that you mention it.
that aligns with history too. And in reality, there were many towns where the church was the entire town, organization, government, everything.
Mhm.
And they talk about, um, that the god, the actual god of the church, will step in if a church goes too far. Um, but none of them have ever seen this. So is that actually accurate? Do gods actually step in to stop their followers if they're doing things like that? Like that's if no one's ever seen it, then does it ever actually happen?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting concept. And one thing we talked about this a little bit the other day when I was getting through part of one of the chapters is I think Jason is a secularist, a secular humanist, if I'm not mistaken. And for anybody
Hmm.
watching that doesn't know what that is, that's somebody who not may not necessarily have a belief in God, but they are a humanitarian and they don't feel like they need a belief in God to do good in the world, if that makes sense. I'm trying to paint them in the best light I possibly can. And so, and like, not saying that they're immoral or anything, that they're wanting to do good. They're just trying to do it
Th-
outside of a
they're not
religious
bad people.
context.
They're just not
Yeah.
religious people.
Yeah. They're just not connected to any sort of religion. And it's interesting that he's in a world where he knows there's gods, of course, little g gods, not a true transcendent God, but he knows that there are these higher spiritual beings, and yet still he's moving along that path, just trying to do good because he just believes it's right. I find his motivations kind of interesting because really he doesn't have any reason to help those people.
Right.
at all. And so,
Uh, Other than like he looks at things like cancer and sicknesses like that he's
Mhm.
seen in the real world, and now that he's here inside this other world, he thinks about all the ways that he could help back home, all the abilities that he has where he could help people back home, and you you know that even if he's not the best person in the world, that's the heart of a good person, whether it's
mhm.
right or wrong, right?
Yeah, and he did raise an interesting question. Like, if he went back to his homeland, would he be able to carry those powers with him, or is it attached to the world he's in, and he can't take them back? I don't know. I don't know how this thing plays out. I'm just guessing. So
Uh,
future Matt's going to look
Yeah.
back at past Matt and
But
be
yeah,
like,
on the point of him healing people and that being selfless, from his perspective, he is doing it selflessly. But putting myself in his shoes, there is a selfish reason to do it, and that's that the more he uses his powers, the stronger they get, and
"Mhm,
he gains strength by training, by doing things, rather than like the methods that Rufus taught him. He could consume monster cores to gain strength, but it's better if you level up your abilities basically by doing them.
that's an interesting concept.
And
And
yeah, so the more he heals people, the stronger he gets. So it's better for him to do that.
so he's not
yeah,
really doing it, say,
Well,
because
he
purely."
probably
he
is
he
because he's not smart
probably
enough
is,
to think about it, probably.
but
But
it maybe he's not. Maybe he's fooled everyone, including the reader, right? And he's actually
maybe.
bad. And
What if, and I think he just views it like it's a win-win. He's like, I get
Hmm.
experience, they get healed, everybody's happy, like kind of thing.
right, I don't. I personally, and this may be like a completely wrong thought, but I don't think even if it didn't help him, I still think he would do it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just a benefit to him
Right.
that it does help him.
I mean, it's the same thing like his recovery power. Me and Tim had a small discussion about this offline earlier, but
Hmm.
his recovery power, right? It still works if he takes like a healing potion, but if he say gets really hurt and just lets his recovery take its own course and he heals on his own, it helps it build faster. It doesn't stop it from building if he uses a healing potion. It just builds
Mhm.
faster if he doesn't. So
And
with
Rufus was impressed that he suggested that because um, they were training. And after the training, Rufus was going to heal him. But he said, if you don't heal me and I suffer through this and heal on my own slowly, I'll grow stronger. And Rufus was surprised by his determination. I was looking for what he actually said. I couldn't find the quote, but
and I don't have any of the
uh,
training marked in my book.
right. It's the difference like between an adventurer and a great adventurer. Like he learned something from watching Jason that he has more to learn about determination.
Mhm. He's willing to take the hard road, and it
Hmm.
doesn't really. He well, it even shows with the what was it, the monster course? I think it is, or the monster. It's something he gets from monsters that he
Hmm.
doesn't want to use
That's
until he
Monster
meets with
Course.
Rufus. Monster course, and
Right.
it's like the shortcut to power, but he won't take the shortcut to power. He has to do the difficult path. I think it's pretty interesting, especially when you talk about, like, earlier we were talking about anime and stuff like that, and how it kind of mirrors that. Because in anime, the hard path is always presented as the one that takes longer, but that you're better in the end. And the shortcut to power is always the one that costs you in the end. And it seems like he's building on those same principles
Right.
in the story.
Yeah. I mean, if he takes Monster Cores, he's been told that the highest he'll probably ever reach is silver rank,
Mhm.
because once he makes it to that point, he literally cannot build any other way except for Monster Cores.
Makes me
So
think
I
he's going to
do,
get into a fight, and it's going to be somebody who's taken the easy
yeah.
route, and he's going to beat him because of it.
Either he's going to come up with an organization, maybe criminals or something that rely on monster cores, and he'll see that. Or I'm wondering if there will ever be a circumstance where consuming a monster core will give him the boost that he needs in a fight or in a certain situation. and he chooses to do it. And what if he starts doing that, and in order to become powerful, he has to kill a ton of monsters, and he just can't stop. So then that becomes his new path to power.
Hmm.
That's a possible narrative twist if he ends up depending on that, because someone who would but wants to get to the highest ranks would have to kill nonstop.
Yeah, I
Makes me
mean,
wonder.
now,
Oh, sorry. Go
and,
ahead.
and what you'll hear a lot in the books, and you've heard it just a few few mentions, is the monster surge that they're expecting, right? Um,
Hmm.
it's not happened yet. It's overdue. And that sounds exactly what Tim's talking about. Like a ton of monsters he's going to have to fight over and over again, right? Um, but is that the only way to power?
No,
Uh,
Hmm.
it's not.
Obviously not, right? Monster cores, right?
Yeah.
So could there be a reason he has to take monster cores?
Hmm.
Like circumstance where he's got to save somebody, right? And the only way he can do it is to
Right.
take monster cores. That and I'm not saying that's what happens, right? But you know
Mhm.
Hmm.
uh, that could always be an option. There's a reason why those monster cores are there, and the reason why they discuss them, right? Is because there might be a reason he needs to know all this information. Though Rufus did warn him not to ever use them.
Yeah, it's the author seems to dangle stuff out in front of you, and then later come back and reattach. Like things were being mentioned, like essences and stuff like that. And you guys are all like recording all this, and I'm just like, I'll read it once, and be like, oh yeah, he's got that. It's in his inventory somewhere, and, and then he'll move on, and then here it comes later, like the sin essence or whatever it was that he took. I had completely forgotten about it. I didn't even remember it, and then he's like, I've got this one. And I'm like, oh. Look, he's going to get that. It's like,
Yeah, so like I've read the book several times, so like going through and like tabbing all this is no big deal to me because I don't have to pay so much attention to the story because I know the story, right? Um,
mm,
Hmm.
but going through and tabbing it has been like super enlightening to me, just because I didn't pay that much attention. I was like you when I read it the first time, right? I was more interested in the story, more interested in what was going on. But now that I'm focusing on all the powers and all the when he got something, how he used it, when he used it, the explanation of how it works, like keeping up with how all that goes. Like there's one power it doesn't even ever explain in the 41 chapters that we 43 42 chapters we read so far. It
42.
doesn't even explain how it worked, but you know how it worked. It's the Sanguine horror. The
Hmm.
leech familiar he's got. It does not
mhm.
explain how that works at all anywhere in the book. You just automatically assume that you know how it works.
I think he mentions at one point that it will heal him over time. I
Yeah.
think he says that,
They
but
Yeah.
say
But
that.
that's all we know,
yeah,
because
it
it
doesn't
went
go into
into him,
offense. Hmm.
and he can manifest it externally. It seems. Oh yeah, he does. He did it in that fight.
Yeah, when he
There
cuts
was
his hand.
the waterfall. He let them out, and they fought in groups.
And
So that's how he uses it. He can pull the leeches out and have them fight enemies, or he can keep them inside of his body and heal
heal
himself.
himself. Matt made a just several times has talked about how dumb he is. In
Yeah.
that fight, when he cuts himself,
Yes.
when he stabs
With a
himself
poison
with the
knife.
poison knife, he not only is he had to do that, but he had taken the hardened skin first.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
so when he stabs, he tries to cut himself and it doesn't work. So then he stabs himself, poisons himself,
Uh,
and before he even because he's so surprised by what just happened, it heals itself, and he has to do it again. Like
mm.
it just stuff like that. You know that he's just so surprised by what's going on that there isn't a single brain cell that has thought about what he has done
Mhm.
at that point in time.
It's a
But
good thing his
sometimes,
abilities
oh,
synergize so well so that he can just use everything and it all stacks and complements each other. So he doesn't have to think too much.
He did though instinctively act when they got pushed out by the water and thrown off the
Hmm.
thing. He grabbed the guy and then he activated his slow falling
Hmm.
ability. And
That'd
the
be
whole
hard to
time,
do.
yeah, that's a lot of like that was probably more like instinct kind of thing. And so there's some aspect of him that instinctively knows certain things need to be done. But then when it comes to actual strategy, like when he was fighting the crab thing, I kept thinking to myself, I was like, why doesn't he use his shadow ability? And I know he hadn't developed it at that point, but he didn't even attempt it. He's just like, yeah, let me go over here and try to get under this thing. Like, or go by the
Hmm.
side of it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been great in a situation like that to
Go
teleport underneath an enemy or something.
behind it, and so it didn't know you was
Hmm.
there, like So
Yeah. Let's see. Sorry.
So what all happened? Have we covered everything?
we've
I think we've,
we've
yeah,
covered a
go ahead.
lot. Now there's a few people that we can talk about. We have met a few characters. Um, we've met the alchemist Jory, um, who is now basically the house that built the home, right? I mean, he's spending all of his time at Jory's training in the
Mhm.
backyard, basically,
Lifting
um,
weights.
lifting weights. Uh,
Push ups, sit ups, and plenty of juice.
Hmm.
so, so, um, so that's going on. You got you met another character. It doesn't spend a whole lot of time with him, but Humphrey Geller, the Geller boy in the that he meets when he's getting his abilities checked by the
Mhm.
Adventure
Right.
Society and everybody. Um,
Him and his dragon.
him and his
Hmm.
dragon, the little puppy, right?
Yeah.
I had to mark that
I,
page down with a turn because I forgot to mark it.
I like how he called the examiner guy and didn't know it
God,
was his actual
yes.
name. And he's like, I'm on a roll today. Like,
I mean, you'd do the same thing though. Like if you was right about several things in a row, you'd be like,
yeah.
"Man, I am on a roll." Like you'd want to be trying everything at that point. Like, let me try something else. Like,
Oh, he rizzed that girl up too. He had her
Oh yeah.
swooning the priestess girl.
which is funny, right?
Uh-huh.
Because you still got to think about him. He's bald. He has no eyebrows. He has like like so baby face, no beard. He's still nothing on his face
Yeah.
anywhere. At
10
that
out of
just
10 personality.
Yeah, he told that woman Gabriella, he said, I'm not evil, but I'll cop to naughty.
The humor in the book's top notch. It's pretty good.
Hmm.
and I watch some like Australian like Facebook reels and stuff of some
Mm.
Australian people. I almost feel like it's Australian comedy because a lot of what he says is stuff that they say, and it's like that stuff is funny just because they're Australian. I swear it. Um, and I know you don't listen to the audiobook, but the guy who reads it, like when those situations come, he does such a good job at pushing those jokes and stuff in the most Australian way that he can think of. I feel like
Australian humor is a bit like British humor to
it
me.
can be.
It's very,
I think it's
very
better
dry.
than British. Um,
Of course,
like
everything's better than the British, but no, I'm joking. If you're British and you're watching this, I apologize.
one of our none of our 4 subscribers are British, so
That's
Yeah.
right. I'm thinking about the future here, boys.
because
Like,
because 3 of the 4 of them are right here.
that's
That's
right.
right.
But um, there were a couple things like when you think about the story, like that I was thinking about. So he has that ability that keeps him from being tracked,
Mm.
and then
Yeah.
he gets the tracking stone, and somehow they know that he's found permanent lodging. And I don't know if he let them know or if the tracker let them know,
Well,
and how that ability
they
interfaces.
tell him at the bridge that if he finds like a good place, they'll let the guards know that he don't have to. Like so, all it had to be was just not a terrible hotel or whatever. So he went to that really nice one that is all of his trainers, friends, whatever they are to him. Um, he went to that really nice one, so they probably were the ones who let the guards know.
Right.
Okay, okay. So
And when he was having his essences checked, he was impervious to the aura reader.
So,
mhm.
But
so since he was impervious to the aura reader, the priestess of knowledge is knowledge. The god actually told her all of his
right,
essences.
and that goddess, bringing it back to the god, she told Gabriella to be there for him
Yes,
specifically. So it seems the gods are aware of his existence.
Oh,
but you
okay.
are talking about the goddess of knowledge after all.
Right.
So,
Wait a
um,
second. Where does it say that the goddess of knowledge told her that?
Gabriella says, "My lady directed me specifically to be here today, the goddess of knowledge."
But does it say that she told them his essences?
No, there is like a pause, like when he's impervious to the aura reader. She doesn't say anything. They're talking, and then Gabriella says she's listening to something, like she tilts her head, and then she says what his essences are. So it seems
Okay.
she heard it from somewhere, her goddess or somehow.
Okay. Okay. I guess I missed out on that part. I don't know
It's
if I just like
very
skimmed it
it's
over.
very brief.
Okay. So she's aware of what his essences are.
Hmm.
yeah, well,
Okay. Which
so
means the
is everybody
Magic
else there
Society.
too. Yeah, they
Right,
know.
it was necessary. Yeah, to get his basic essences. He didn't have to describe details of his abilities or anything. They just needed to know his essences,
To make sure
which
that
were
he
not
wasn't on
So
the
restricted.
restricted list.
Hmm.
that begs a question. And so does an ability not extend to the gods? Like if he's able to hide it from other people, but the God of Knowledge can know it, does the God of Knowledge supersede the magic system then?
I mean, I would assume that the God of Knowledge could have known, but she didn't say, and he wasn't required to tell.
Okay. Okay. It's interesting.
I'm sure that the goddess of knowledge probably knows a lot of things,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Probably.
the goddess of knowledge, after all.
It would seem any of his concealment abilities do not protect him from the goddess, because she did learn his essences.
And that could have been relayed. Like if they're the goddess of knowledge, maybe they know internal thoughts. I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah,
you know if you're the goddess of knowledge. Like,
no
Knowledge, I'm
idea.
assuming. like,
yeah.
what do you consider knowledge? Is guesswork knowledge? Like if you think something might be true, is that
Mm. That is interesting. Is the goddess of knowledge omnipotent? And if so, the implications of that are interesting for the world.
You're talking about a theological concept called middle knowledge. The knowledge of what is it? It's the knowledge of possibility, basically.
Mm.
Like so, like if X were to happen, then Y would occur. And then like that kind of like branching idea, like any number of possible it's called knowledge of counterfactuals is what it's called. That's actually a theological term. So knowledge of
Mm.
counterfactuals where depend on your theological belief about God, people will say that God has knowledge of everything, including all counterfactuals or all possibilities from any sort of choice, decision, anything. So it might not be true in that it didn't happen, but they do have. Sorry, that's nerd talk. I apologize,
No.
but
And that leans into what you're saying earlier. Like, is this goddess actually more like a person that is the highest rank adventurer? Because they basically become gods whenever they reach the top rank.
yeah,
What was that?
diamond?
Diamond?
Yeah,
Diamond. So, what if the gods of this world are diamond rank adventurers? If so, maybe there is a limit to her knowledge.
all of this is answered. Don't feel like this is going to go without being answered. It's actually answered in this book, so don't feel like
oh, okay.
Okay.
so
Oh, nice.
so this is stuff that's going to be answered. Um,
Okay,
so don't feel
we're
like
gonna get a dissertation
Mm.
on the
it,
goddesses of knowledge.
probably not dissertation, probably
Okay.
not to your level of dissertation, but you do get an answer for all the questions that you've had about most everything. I say that. There's been tons of stuff that happened in the book that you'll not get answers for many books in the future. But as for that question, you do get that answer in this book.
Okay.
Without spoiling anything. Okay, don't tell me how, don't tell me when. Does he get eyebrows?
Mm.
Dang it, he's gotta have eyebrows. It's bothering me in my mind imagining
They should have started
this
growing
guy.
by now. It's been how long? I don't know, a couple
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. He should really work on them eyebrows.
That's
At
the
least paint
greatest
on them.
mystery. Why is he still bald?
Yeah. It doesn't.
That's what we need to find out.
Is there an essence he's gonna get that's called, it stops alopecia? I don't know.
Mm. He's gonna get a sin ability of hair growth.
Yeah.
Start growing on his hands.
Oh, so you said without without spoiling it or giving you any timeline or anything, but you just want to answer to the question, right?
I Yes, because
He
I've seen
he gets
fan art
eyebrows.
of the character.
He
Okay,
he
okay.
gets
I've
eyebrows.
seen and he had eyebrows on the fan art, and I was like, "This is not the guy I'm imagining in my mind. I'm imagining somebody that looks like Gollum from Lord of the Rings."
That's probably about accurate for when he was down there in the cellar, you know, like.
Yeah, but yeah, that's about right. So
But yeah, so
Hmm.
so we're at chapter 42. We've met some other people in chapter 42.
He's learned how to use all the abilities he currently has, right?
Yes,
That was the last thing at the end. He learned the teleportation.
he learned the teleportation. Now that
you
was
also
the
get a.
what's that?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying you get a better look at some of the characters he's been traveling with, like Gary and Rufus and Farah.
Yes, you do get a better look at kind of how they see things, um,
Hmm.
and how they're trying to help him. How each one has their own like specialty, I guess.
And it's interesting learning more about Rufus, about he's basically a lord, and he's far richer than Farah or Gary. So there's even some distance between them, and then there's Jason. So his Rufus's perspective on the world is very different. So the things he's telling us, he may be an unreliable narrator to some extent.
That's true. Yep, that's true because his views are different. A lot of his views changed with him failing that job, though.
Hmm.
He had gotten way too, uh, I guess,
Overconfident.
Comfortable.
overconfident. Yeah, I guess.
Hmm.
But so it just him failing that job. I think it changed the way that he thinks. Uh, and that's the reason why he's working so hard to make sure that Jason is trained to a standard that is not the same way that he was trained.
Yeah, I think he mentions it at one point. Sometimes people like get powers unlocked, and then they think they're 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and they go out and then they get killed
Right.
because they have all these new powers, and they're like, "Oh, I just want to go test them, and I think I'm too strong." And so I don't know what that was,
And
but
that's where Jason has the upper hand. He knows he sucks.
Yeah, yeah, he's
yeah,
terrible and he knows it. He lets everybody know too.
Hmm.
yeah, but yeah. So I think I think we've pretty well covered most of the stuff. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about?
No, don't
I'm
think so.
I'm pretty much I'm pretty. I think we've covered it a lot. I don't. We probably missed some stuff, but I mean we covered the high points for sure. Um,
Hmm.
so
And so we read twice the amount of chapters I think this time as we did the first
we
time.
went from chapter 15 to 42. Now
Yeah.
I'll be out of town next weekend. I don't, Tim, are you going? No.
One where
So I'll be
Chattanooga.
yeah. I'll be out of town next weekend. So we won't be around. So we're gonna have probably 2 weeks between now and when we meet up again for another round of podcast. I don't know how we want to do this. If we want to just read the rest of it, uh, it's it's
I mean,
113 chapters,
okay.
but there's a lot of stuff that
I was about to
happens.
say we are 261. At least on my version, I'm 261 pages, and there are.
It
Let's
must be
see.
bigger writing in y'all's pages.
It is definitely. It kind of
Because
helped
I'm
me a
only
little
at
bit.
240 pages.
It says 755 pages total in my copy.
675.
We went, so yeah, so sorry. I know this is probably going to get edited out there in the middle of the editing session, but we went all the way through 14, and that was 83 pages. And then we went from 84 all the way to 260. And so that is substantial when you read it like
In a week.
physically. Yeah, it's a lot, especially with like getting like, just for sake of disclosure, I'm a pastor, so I do a lot of sermon prep and everything like that through the week. And I'm also like, I'm currently reading 6 books, so it's
Well,
even after school.
how about we split the rest of the book almost in half, like go to about 80 and then do the rest of it
Yeah,
at another time. So that'll give us like 2 weeks to read 40 chapters.
yeah, I'm having wisdom tooth or not wisdom tooth, sorry, a tooth removed too soon, so I'll be bedridden for a little bit.
So he'll have
So
plenty of time to read.
if I'm conscious enough to read, they're gonna dope me out pretty good from what I've heard. So,
That's
but
right.
yeah, I will really be feeling like Jason while I'm reading.
Yeah, I think we want to read to 80 or we want to read through 80.
I don't
I'd
know
say
what the
3.
context is. I just know that, well,
Okay.
yeah, we can complete 80.
Complete 80. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good chapter to split at. There's a lot that happens
Okay.
in between here and 80. So we will have a lot to talk about.
Well, we'll need to make an outline and organize the next one.
For
There'll
sure.
be a lot of
Yeah,
For sure.
content.
We may have to split the next one in two, like, because this one, which doesn't have a whole lot of content, is already going on 50 minutes. So,
Yeah, we're also a bit unfocused, so maybe if we organize the next one, um, it'll go a bit
yeah,
quicker.
yeah.
If we
yeah.
have
We'll make an
bullet
outline.
points.
You know,
Yeah.
We're learning as we go.
yes, we are.
So,
Which I don't think that any of the time was left open. I don't think we were having any issues talking about things. So sometimes maybe our conversation didn't feed the book though.
Hmm.
But we'll
yeah,
probably that though because of how big that section is. If we do outlines, we can probably fit it in one. If we don't, if we're just gonna fly by the seat of our pants, then we'll probably need to split it.
It would be nice to talk about things in order, I think.
So
hmm
let's for sure do an outline. I can maybe I can work on that some tomorrow because obviously know what happens. So so I can kind of start working an outline maybe. At least keep
yeah.
us on topic. Big points.
And maybe some questions that you think are of interest or something like that. Since you've been through
Hmm.
it before, and you can ask us, what did you think about this, or what's your least favorite part about this, or something like that. You know.
All right. So before we end this, let's talk about the least favorite part of what the section we just read.
I think my least favorite part. I'm not a fan of desert areas or cities, and so I'm really ready for them to move to a new place. I don't want to be where they're at anymore. I don't like that place.
Well, the Delta.
Yeah, from what I was reading, it kind of comes across to me like an oasis in the middle of the desert, kind of deal.
It's kind of what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't like desert regions. I don't know. That's my biggest complaint. I thought the
Hmm.
story was good. I thought everything was great.
Well, My least favorite part was once again Jason's pacifist nature. Like he's a good guy and all, but then he's talking to Farah and he's making her feel bad about enjoying combat. And she's talking about blowing up monsters, how they're just globs of magic. And he's like, yeah, but they feel pain and fear. And he just is not in a position to lecture her on that because of all she's been through. And he just got here. He seems a bit naive, and I don't really care for his mentality on that,
He's very
on combat in general.
he's very pointed with in that conversation with Farah. He is like you said, blaming her for liking combat, and that I agree
Hmm.
that that's probably in this section my least favorite part is the way that he, he argues to argue, as
Right.
Matt
And like you
said.
said before, how he had a hero complex. This is him. Seems like he feels like he's better than everyone because he doesn't enjoy hurting things.
Right.
Yeah, that was I'll admit that was an annoying section to me because it just comes across like he feels he's morally superior to the people he's around, and so he gets to lecture everybody else on ethics. Like he's talking about the church, he doesn't understand the church, and we're getting a one-sided perspective from him on all of this.
Right.
But he's talking about, well, why don't they just heal everybody for free? It's like the person who goes and says, if the government takes our taxes, why don't they just give everybody a free house? Like,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He very much fits a first worlder that's very sheltered and of that mentality.
Taxes are robbery. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that.
yeah,
That's the government stealing from its people. Anywho,
That's right.
Yeah.
Taxation is theft. It's supposed to be temporary.
that's right. If we just give them a little more money, they'll get it all figured out, guys.
You're
They'll
right,
solve
you're
the
right.
problems they made. So
I already give them enough.
yeah, it's not enough, Scout. They need blood now. So
Mm.
Anywho, we ain't here to talk about that. So, nonetheless, thank you guys for joining in on episode 2. I'll probably shorten this one down. I feel like that last 15 minutes can probably be cut up.
No, Scout, you should leave that in. I want them to know your specific opinions on Eskimos. So
They're the Inuit, Matt. They're not
oh,
Eskimos.
sorry. My bad. My bad. It's just when Scout called them the snow people, I didn't know what to do.
Okay. Worst things you could have said, I guess.
That was funny. I didn't see it coming at all, and nobody knows what to believe now. Did we edit it out? Was it really a conversation about Eskimos, snow people?
God knows.
God knows. God knows the truth. But anyways, thanks guys for tuning in. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Tim, for reading my favorite book series so far. And we'll catch y'all in the next one.
Bye.
Hasta luego.